And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Irons. As always, I am joined by Irish Tommy. How are you?
Good, Chris. All things considered, yeah. Just relaxing, basically. Shaking my head a lot at West Ham as usual. But
Yeah,
on a personal level, I'm good. But West Ham-wise, it's the same old, I'm afraid.
yeah, that's very fair. Apologies, everyone. We were supposed to do this last night, but kind of ran into trouble with an assignment. What? Oh, yeah.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, my class kind of got in the way. I had a brutal assignment that I was having to get done, so unfortunately I had to push it back just because school obviously takes precedent. But we're back as always. Did you get to catch any of the friendly today?
No, I was busy, unfortunately. I had some things to do in town. So I think at kickoff time, I was having a nice lunch in a restaurant called La Scala. So, yeah, I had some things to do in town. I missed it. And by all accounts, didn't miss much.
Yeah, I mean it's a 2-1 victory, so I won't snuff out it. I mean, yes, it's preseason, but a win's always a win. Win's a win, and good confidence boost heading into the season. Since we're now only 2 weeks away, which is crazy to me. But yeah, unfortunately,
number one rule, Chris. Number one rule: read absolutely nothing into preseason games.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah.
Because remember, we won every single preseason game after we hired Avram Grant. Just keep that in mind. And then got relegated. So
yeah, no, I know, and it's primarily for fitness sake. It's getting back into the swing of things, and obviously these are lower league sides. So I mean, I don't read too much into it, but I always take a win where I can get one. So
yeah,
it's nice little boost to the Saturday. But obviously, I'm not saying all right, we're gonna go and finish top 6 this year because we beat Brentford. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to either. I did catch a few of the highlights. I had heard about this. I did not see the injury itself, so I can't attest to it. But
yeah, my understanding is it was a contact injury, and it was because of the way he landed on his hip, which suggests to me it's not going to be anything to worry about. I would say most likely he might. It's a bit sore, and he might have some bruising. But from what I'm hearing, and what I know about those kinds of injuries, those when you just land on the ground on your hip, he should be okay. He should be okay. I would expect him to be fully fit and available for the Newcastle game, from what I'm hearing.
That's good news, at least. Obviously, Antonio's injury record is far from stellar. So whenever he gets injured, it's always a little bit of a concern. But let's hope that he is back and available for selection. Considering we don't really still know yet what Moyes plans to do in terms of the formation.
Yeah, I would expect the fact that they took him off was very likely more precautionary than anything.
Yeah. But yeah, so as always, I will really quickly update the Excel sheet that I'm doing. We now have
count.
Yeah, 66 links.
66.
With 66 today with a Celtic defender.
Right, so we're up to 66, and just remind me, of the 66 we've signed, how many? 0. So yeah, clearly those links are all spot on.
Oh yeah, and then we've also had 13 links outwards. Obviously, 3 being confirmed, with Hugill now confirmed going to Norwich for 2.5, Ayeti for it was like 4, and Roberto going to Real Valladolid on a free, but yeah, we have to pay his wages.
Well, half, I believe.
I think I have it written down at 65%.
65% of his wages. So we literally couldn't give him away. He came on a free transfer. We overpaid him, and then we couldn't give him away for free to anybody. The only way even Valladolid would take him was if we were paying 65% of his wages. Now, I don't know what way we've done that. Obviously, either we're just paying 65% of his wages week to week until his contract with us is up, or we just paid the bulk of it, what it would cost throughout the season, paid it all off in one chunk, and said, right, off you go.
We don't have enough chunk to buy in a player for 1.5. I think it has to be installments because we can't afford it otherwise.
Yeah. So either way, we have a player who is the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen in the Premier League, and I mean that. That's not just hyperbole.
No, I know.
He genuinely is the worst goalkeeper I have ever seen in the Premier League. And now, even though he's gone and we'll be playing with another team next season, it's still costing us money for him to be gone. So that's how bad he is. We're willing to pay more than half his wages to another team to take him away. Just take him, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what the rumors are too is that Wilshere is interested in going to the MLS. And we're in a similar boat with that, where if he goes to the MLS, because he's on such massive wages, we're going to have to pay a certain amount of his wages as well. Another free transfer where the player leaves and we're still paying for it.
Yes. I don't know what kind of deal we're talking there. It may be a loan deal because he is contracted to us for another season. So it may just be a loan. So I think something could be done if it was arranged as a loan, because we usually, nowadays, it was a time when loans would just be free. You just sent them out on loan. But now, of course, loanees command a loan fee. So we could
You're going to get
figure something out there. We could figure it out whereby we say to whatever MLS team it is, okay, look, we'll forego the loan fee and you just pay the wages for the season. The MLS teams generally have the money to do that. I know there's a cap in the MLS, but I think you're allowed, is it 2 or 3 players to be outside of the cap? So that's what I'd be doing. I'd be saying, look, don't worry about the loan fee. Just pay his wages.
Yeah.
As long as he's with you. And that seems like that would be a compromise that might work for everybody. But the MLS seems likely.
Yeah,
I think that's the kind of place he would land.
Yeah.
And remember, he's 28. So it's not like he's 34 going there. In the end of his career, he's 28 years old. He can do a job for someone in the MLS if they can keep him fit. He could play. He could do well in the MLS. Obviously, it's nowhere near the standard of the Premier League. So. He could do quite well there for a team if they can keep him healthy. So that would probably work for everybody.
Yeah. And by the way, mate, based on your tweets the other day about the Messi to West Ham links, you got to yell at Forever Blowing Bowls here.
No, did not count Messi.
I still can't believe that, man, that he's actually leaving.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I actually saw this tweet. And speaking of players going out, I saw this tweet and I have confirmed it. Did you know that West Ham have never sold on a player for more than £25 million?
Yeah, I would have been aware of that. Yeah, I mean we've never. We've never sold anyone more than that. It wasn't something I ever thought about. It was never. I never consciously thought, "Geez, we've never sold a player for more than 25." I was aware of it. I think Arnautovic and Payet went for 25 today or something, or in that ballpark.
No, Payet went for 24.3.
Right. Ballpark. But we've never sold someone for 25 or above. And let's hope, between now and the close of the transfer window, we don't, because that would only mean one thing.
Yeah. And yeah, now that you've brought it up, let's get right into that. So obviously the Chelsea or Rice to Chelsea rumors are starting to circle again.
Yeah.
With them apparently gunning for it. What I don't get, and I was talking to you a little bit about this before, is how they can afford to do this with regards to bringing in Timo Werner. They brought in Havertz. It's confirmed now, haven't they?
Yeah.
Chilwell. They've brought in Thiago Silva, and I just saw they're gunning for Donnarumma, the young goalkeeper from AC Milan. So I don't know where they keep getting this money. I really don't.
Well, they have the money. I mean, there's no surprise that the money is there. I mean, you have to remember, Chris, they made no signings last summer because they were under a transfer ban. So they didn't spend last summer's kitty. And obviously they've got some more in the meantime. They obviously would have had more money again to spend in this transfer window. Despite the COVID thing, clearly there was still money there. So they've basically been putting it all in their piggy bank. So I'm not surprised they have the money, to be honest. And Abramovich, I know we associate Man City with the splurges, but Abramovich is also an incredibly wealthy man. And he certainly has the ability to splurge too. And because of their transfer ban last summer, added to whatever we're going to normally have for this summer, they've just got a lot of money lying around, and they're not afraid to spend it, and they're spending it bloody well. So they're bringing in big hitters, and reports are that they're not done.
Yeah, for me though, like if I'm Rice looking at this whole situation, Frank Lampard has not been shy about saying that he would play Rice as a center back, not a CDM. And they're saying right now that they're going to try and sell Conte to raise funds for trying to bring in Rice. But if your potential future manager is already confirmed that you're going to play in center back, and they just bring in the likes of Thiago Silva, doesn't that just scream to me that he's going to end up riding the bench more than likely?
I doubt it, because they're going to have to spend big on Rice. So I doubt if Lampard is bringing him in as a squad member. I think he will have earmarked him for a position. Now, whether it's alongside Thiago Silva, it could be alongside him. You know, who knows who Lampard doesn't fancy in there. And definitely they've got a major problem at centre back. Okay, they've partially fixed it with Thiago Silva, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least if Lampard says, I want 2 centre backs, because we've got to stop conceding all these goals. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. But equally, he could be saying, look, I'm getting rid of Kante, and I want Rice for that position. So he knows Rice can do both. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either way, whether he wants him primarily as a centre back or a CDM.
Yeah.
The question before we move on from the Rice thing, though, is how they intend to structure or to attempt to structure this deal. We've spoken about this before, Chris, and you know my suspicions on this, that they're going to use 2 or 3 other players attempt to anyway, use 2 or 3 other players as a make weight. I don't think Chelsea have any intention of dropping 80 mil on the table for Rice. I'm not sure at this point they can. So I think Chelsea have 2 options basically left. They either try to sell all of their deadwood players, the players that Lampard wants to sell on, which would include Kante, like maybe Ross Barkley, players like that, and try to raise the 80 million or as close to it as possible by selling a few players, getting them off the books, and then coming for Rice. Or the first thing he could do before any of those players have been sold is to come to West Ham and say, we'll give you this player, and this player, plus this amount of money, which would probably be, 20 million cash, say, plus these 3 players, trying to get a deal done that way. So that to me now I think would be Chelsea's two main options.
Yeah, and for me, I'm demanding straight cash. I don't want your castaways because it more than likely does not help us. It's not going to be in positions that matter to us. It's not going to benefit the squad in the slightest. It's just going to be, oh, here's our castaways plus some pocket.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, look, we're unlikely to want the players they're going to want to offer us. Now we can play hardball. I mean, it's not like they don't have any players that we would take as part of as in a part exchange deal. But I'd be playing hardball with them. Let's test their resolve. How much do you want Rice?
Yeah,
I'd be say something like, fine, if you want Rice in a part exchange deal, we want Christensen, the centre back, and we want Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and you're going to loan us Tomori.
Yeah.
Then we can talk. Now test their resolve. Go for players that actually will walk into our first team. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, direct replacement for Declan Rice, England international, very, very good player. I know people go on, he's had an injury. I'm not as bothered about that as some people. Christensen, excellent centre-back. More than good enough to play for West Ham. And obviously it's a position that David Moyes is looking to fill. And Tomori obviously is just a hugely promising youngster and would be brilliant to have on loan. And plus then whatever money we get, we can use to fill in the left back position.
And that's the big question forever. Blowing Bubbles just asked, if we only get cash, how much money will be allowed to be spent on transfers? That's my concern because I don't see this going one of two ways with this board, all things considered. It is either going to go to deadline day and Chelsea buy Rice on deadline day for 80 million, and we're not able to reinvest that into other positions, and we're just going to be left with a massive hole at CDM. Or we sell him like this week, and not even a quarter of that is utilized for transfers, and even then, that's generous. That's my concerns.
Yeah, look, as bad as our owners are, it would astound me if they did something like that. If they sold Declan Rice right before transfer deadline day or on transfer deadline day, as bad as they are, I don't think they would do it. I honestly don't. I don't think they would sell him on deadline day. I honestly don't think they would be that bad that they would sell him on transfer deadline day. And I think, if I'm them, I'd be quietly whispering behind closed doors to Chelsea, look, if this is something you really want to do and you want to talk about,
let's get it done.
Don't come to us in the last week of the window. Don't come to us with 5 days left in the window even. Like, it's not going to happen because, we don't have enough time to do what we need to do, business we need to do. So I'd be telling Chelsea, look, we have to be paid for him with a week at least left in that transfer window. Because the problem you have with this transfer window is, let's say we sell Declan Rice with 4 days left in the window. Let's say Chelsea sell a few players off, they get the money together, bang on the table, 80 million, there you go. Rice signs, 4 days. Moyes has all the money he needs to go and get what he wants to get. What do you think the clubs that we approach for players are going to do? They're going to say, oh, okay, you want this guy. 4 days left, you just lost Rice, and you desperately need these players. Did I say 15? Sorry, meant 20. 20 million.
Yep, exactly.
Because we're desperate now and we're running out of time and we're on the clock.
Yep.
And so teams are going to take the piss. They know we're going to be desperate. They're going to ramp up the price. They're going to play hardball, knowing that they have the upper hand in this deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Then I'm not even going to ask you whether or not you want Rice to stay, because I think it's obvious across the board West Ham fans want him to stay.
Yeah.
Do you think he will?
I'll tell you what, I've toed and froed on this. at the beginning of the summer, I thought there was a strong likelihood Chelsea would come in for him. And then I got to a point, Chelsea were like splashing out money on all these various players. And then the Thiago Silva thing happened, and I was like, not going to happen now because they're splurging their cash elsewhere.
Yeah.
They're going to run out of cash. They're not going to be able to get Rice in this window. They'll probably have to wait till next summer or something, to come in for him. I'm not so sure now. I'm actually 50-50 on this now. Because there has been reports the other day that were strongly saying Abramovich is not finished. Just because they've splurged all this cash doesn't mean they're done. That they're not finished. The reports are that Lampard wants Rice. So I think one of those two things that we spoke about will happen. I think they very well may come in with a part exchange deal, or they'll just sell off the players they want to sell off to raise as much of the 80 mil it'll take to sell Rice as possible, then just add the rest themselves. I'm actually 50-50 now that they're going to come in. I'm actually a little bit worried at this point.
If you were to put money on it, what do you think would happen? Will happen?
If I was a gambling man and I had to stick or twist, right now I think I would hedge my bets towards Chelsea coming in with some form of bid.
Yeah, I think that they're going to come in with some sort. The reason though that I'm apprehensive on the whole thing, in terms of I lean more towards Rice staying, for the sole reason being that with how much money they've already splashed, Rice would be by far the most valuable person to come in. If he was that important to them, he would have been their first choice. He would have been the first one West Ham would have been the first one they're contacting the second the window opens. With how long they've let it go and keep going, I just don't know if they will be able to bring in that money. And it seems like West Ham are saying, we don't want your crappy players, and we're not going to listen to anything under 70 million. So for me, I just don't think they're going to have the time to be able to raise the funds. Now, could they come for him in the January transfer window? Possible. Could they come in next season? Very probable. But I just don't know if there's enough time left for them to raise the funds, considering what they're dealing with. Conte would be their biggest cash cow, so to speak, in selling him, and I've seen very little rumors with him. The only one I've seen is Real Madrid, and I don't think that they're going to be willing to pay 60-70 million for him, considering that he hasn't been getting much time as of late.
Well, no, he's 30 years old, so they're not going to get a huge fee for Kante by any means. They'll get some nice money for him, but not huge. Yeah, I mean, I take your point that they didn't come in for him immediately, but I think they may have felt that this would be this would be kind of a quicker deal to do. Maybe the other signings, there was a lot of talking involved, there was a lot of dealings involved, sorting out money and stuff like that. Maybe they feel that the Rice transfer will be more straightforward, or can be done quite quickly, or maybe he just wasn't the top target. Maybe Lampard had a list, just said, look, get these players, and they've gone down through the list, and maybe now Rice is up next. It's hard to know how Chelsea are thinking, or why they signed this player first and that player first, but you may be right. Maybe this is all rubbish, and maybe Chelsea have no intention of bidding for Rice. Maybe there's no interest, I don't know, but obviously there's so much talk from so many different sources. Even X, I think, has said that they are interested in Rice.
Oh, everyone's known that they're interested. It's just it's every week. It's they've launched a bid. No, they haven't.
Yeah, there was false rumors of a bid, but yeah, I think the interest is definitely real. But we don't look. It's hard to know what Chelsea are thinking about Rice. Lampard might be saying, "Yeah, I'm very interested, but not at that price." Maybe it is a case that now that they've got all the targets they really wanted, before they come after Rice. They just need to sell some players and then come for Rice. It's hard to know, Chris. It's all second guessing.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope they just don't have the money and won't have the money and just literally have to just forget about Rice for now.
Yeah, and there's two other reasons though that I just thought of as to why I now I think that he won't go. First of all, we can kind of throw it back with them, like you were saying with other clubs, like when we get desperate. If he is that highly rated of a target for Chelsea, the longer this drags on and the closer it gets to the window, the more West Ham can demand. Like saying, "Oh, we're going to demand 100 now," or something like that. And then on top of that, if Chelsea was that interested in him, what they should have been coming at him from the beginning, because if he goes on to have a phenomenal season this year, and then he goes on to have a phenomenal Euros, we're going to be asking 120. So, I mean, you need to get it when it's a bargain at that point. So I just don't think, like, from reading it into it like this, I just don't think either there's as much serious interest as there have been for like the Timo Werners, the Thiago Silvas, or they don't have the cash.
Yeah, I don't think they have the cash. That's my point. I think they need to raise funds or get us to accept a part exchange deal.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got the 80 million straight up.
Yeah, and I had seen some people talking about in the chat as to why we haven't seen Rice in a preseason friendly this year, and those are easily explainable. Him and Fredericks went to Greece on vacation, and once they got back, they were required to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then Rice had a slight injury. He did post on his Instagram, though, that he was in the West Ham workout facilities getting some work in. So it's not like he's just laying back, kicking back, and like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to be, so might as well enjoy myself for the next few weeks. He's still working. He's just slightly injured at the moment.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it. It's not a big deal. And as well as that, I'm not sure he would have played anyway, to be completely honest, because he's got some international games coming up with England. So Moyes' thinking may have been, I don't want Rice, playing against Ipswich, playing a part against Brentford, and then having to play for England, and then he could be wiped out before the season starts. So I think he figures he's going to feature for England, and so that would do him as regards match fitness and sharpness. The England games will cover him, so there was no real need anyway for him to play in these pre-season games, and of course, like you say, if he has a slight little niggle or whatever it is, why risk him? It's pointless.
Exactly. He's our linchpin, especially in the defense. Why would you risk him and end his season early or something? So
yeah, exactly.
Perfect sense. But moving on, because obviously with the transfer window still being open for another month or so, it's inevitable that we're going to talk about the Rice again. Inevitable. Whether he ends up going, staying, we're going to talk about it the next month. So
yeah, right until the moment that transfer window slams shut.
Yep. But moving on now, you asked me to bring this up. One of the recycled rumors that we keep getting hit with is apparently we are in for Callum Wilson. And I remember tweets of yours a couple of weeks ago saying, well, if he hasn't agreed to a deal, he must be demanding massive wage amounts. And I just saw a report today that he's only asking for 75K a week. And for me, if we're that serious in him, that's doable, considering we're paying the likes of Jack Wilshere 100K a week.
Oh, Callum Wilson. Yeah, look, obviously it's not huge money, but it's not fucking peanuts either, Chris. That's a bloody good wage for somebody. But here's the thing, like, what's Callum Wilson's role going to be at the club?
That's what I'm thinking too.
I mean, like, as far as I'm aware, all we need really is a fucking backup striker who'll mostly sit on the bench, hopefully be able to make an impact when he is called on. because there's no question right now that Haller and Antonio are at the top of the pecking order. So the whole notion of signing Callum Wilson on a free transfer, even to sit on the bench for 75k a week, seems ludicrous.
Yeah.
I mean, if he signs for that kind of money, it has to be a player that you're intending will be playing every week.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've already got Wilshere sitting on his arse getting paid 100k a week. Well, you want to add Callum Wilson on 75k a week to the bench? I just don't see it. I just really don't see it. It's pointless. It makes no sense financially.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The reason, though, that I bring it up that it's doable is because it goes back to, again, trusting in the manager and getting him in the players that he wants. If David Moyes wants Callum Wilson that badly, that should be done already. It's similar with the Eze deal. Yes, we don't have money, but the fact of the matter is that he was he was our top target probably this window, and the board haven't backed him. The board haven't backed him at all, and so we're just losing out on all these targets. If he's that important to Moyes, why are we not backing him?
Well, we don't know that he is, first of all.
That's true.
Second of all, a chairman does also have to watch the purse strings. You know, like if it's all right, the manager's saying, I want to get in Callum Wilson. If I'm a chairman, I'm saying, okay, fine, but like this guy wants 75 grand a week. Like, what is Wilson? But are you playing Wilson? Is he going to start? If he says, no, I just need him as a backup striker in case of injuries, I'll be saying, I'm sorry, we're not paying a backup striker 75k a week. We can't. It's ridiculous. This is the problem with our fucking club. We've got too many people on big wages who shouldn't be on them. We struggled immensely to get rid of Jordan Hugill because of the wages we were paying him. We signed him from, Preston?
Yeah.
Signed him from Preston North End in the Championship, and for some bizarre reason, paid this guy, was it 35k a week or something?
Yeah.
I mean, this is someone who would have been absolutely chomping at the bit to come and join West Ham. I could have offered him 20k a week. He just, 100%, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy stuff, and we have to stop with this. To have Callum Wilson sitting on the bench on 75k a week would be just an absolute joke. I mean, you know, we'd be saying, let's say we managed to sort out a loan deal for Wilshere to the MLS. We don't charge a loan fee, and they pick up all his wages for the season. That's 100k off the books, and then we bring in Callum Wilson, who's on 3/4 of that, to sit on the bench. What's the fucking point? We've done nothing. You know, it's like if we're bringing up in a striker, realistically, it's going to be a backup striker. This has to be somebody we have to find a balance, right? It has to be somebody who's good enough to be the backup striker, but who's not going to be on silly money. Because in all likelihood, either Haller or Antonio will be fit. You know, there probably won't be very few games, if any, where both of them are out. So, and it's not like there's nobody else there. Yarmolenko can play up top. Bowen could be moved up top. He can work as a striker, no problem. So we do have options there as well. So as regards backup strikers, frankly, because of the financial situation we're in, if Moyes just said, look, I'm just going to have Silva on the bench and Yarmolenko will be there and one of them can come on up top. If perchance Antonio and Haller are both out, I'd be like, okay, fine, needs must. But to bring in Wilson on 75k a week to ride the bench, I think I just wouldn't understand it. Plus, he's incredibly injury prone. No, that's not as big a problem if he's on the bench. Obviously, there's less opportunity for him to get injured. But just for that money, it just makes no sense to me. I would be. I don't think the club would do it. I think Moyes would understand why the club are just not going to do that.
Yeah, And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think it's the best deal either. I'm coming more from a point of if the manager wants him, why are we not getting him in? Why are we not trying to do anything? That's kind of my thinking with it at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can definitely get behind you on the general gist of that about backing the manager. It's been piss poor so far.
Yeah. But doing this, this Excel sheet listing all of the players that we've been linked to this window, I just keep getting a ton of recycled links constantly. The most ones that I've seen, Morgan Sanson, we're rumored for him again for 25, I believe, 25 million. Musa Marega from Porto, again, as we were in January as well. Michy Batshuayi, he is a plague that will not go away.
No, man, that guy needs to fucking retire just so we don't have to hear his name again.
Exactly.
Every transfer window, it's Batshuayi, Batshuayi, Batshuayi. Yeah. Now Chelsea would try to pawn him off on us as part of the Royce deal, no question. But he fucked us off like 3 times already.
Yeah.
You know, and plus he couldn't hit a fucking barn door, so
I don't know.
No thanks.
I don't know if it matters to you or not, but apparently Arsenal just beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. So.
What we do?
Yeah. The other one that I got a refresher on in terms of recycled links, Edin Dzeko. We're currently wanting 14 million.
There's an old flame. Yeah. Yeah, it's this is another one that's kind of up there with the Higuain rumors, you know, players who are household names as such and have had very good careers and were excellent in their prime, but who are now a bit past it, and whose current clubs kind of know they're over the hill and they're moving them on. And then, you know, historically, West Ham are the club that the agents look to say, I know a club that might take you. You know, you want that one final nice payday, go into the retirement home that is West Ham. And, you know, yeah. I really just hope that those days are behind us. Now, from the way Moyes talks, you wouldn't think there's any chance that these are the kind of deals we're looking at.
No. He is 34 years old, and you type in his name, he's apparently close to joining Juventus. And he's also linked to Tottenham.
Yeah, I don't know why. Obviously, I don't know if there's any truth in any of those rumors. Why Juve would want him, I don't know. Or Tottenham, frankly. At that age and, you know, considering he'd probably still be trying to command a good wage. Like, I don't know. Dzeko, I think, will find it difficult to find a home. Unless his wage demands are very reasonable.
Yeah. But speaking of Juve, I got to get into this too. I occasionally do this when I see the crazy links, like Nahita Nandez from Cagliari for 36 million euro or whatever it was. We are actually Juve is in the process of offloading a ton of players now. Mm-hmm. And we are linked with Gonzalo Higuain and Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, Higuain I just mentioned. For my opinion on that, just rewind a little bit and listen to me talk about Dzeko. Same. Ramsey, fine footballer, but and I believe he would be a free transfer, would he? Is he a free transfer?
No, I do not believe so. Hang on, I just actually.
I don't know how long his contract was at Juve, but I don't know what they're looking for him. But
that is being reported by Gazzetta dello Sport, and it's rumored at 22 million.
Yeah, look, Ramsey will find a home. It won't be at West Ham. we don't have the money to buy him, and bigger and
We
better
don't have
clubs than us
money to buy
will
a
come in.
1.5. We don't have enough money to buy a 1.5 million pound left back. So
Yeah, so we don't have the money, number one, and it's not a priority position, number two. And number three, bigger and better clubs than West Ham will be in to sign Ramsey.
yeah. So I'm running out of talking points here.
Well, there is the one thing. Can't believe we didn't mention it yet. Is Eze?
Oh, I mentioned briefly. I said that it's like when we were talking about the Callum Wilson thing, about how he, even though it wasn't like the primary position, he was one of the top targets for Moyes, and we did absolutely nothing trying to bring him. We had a player that QPR wanted at least on loan, if not permanent, in Hugo, that could have been a linchpin in the deal, along with some cash, and we just didn't try it. And now he's off to Crystal Palace. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about comparing and contrasting Eze's stats to Jared Bowen's, and Jared Bowen left in January for West Ham. But for me, I don't like that kind of comparison, because I'm like, it's two different teams, two different systems, two different players. And then on top of that as well, it's again the point of Moyes wanted him. Why are we not trying to go after him with some real intention?
Okay, so here's where I'm at with this whole Eze thing. I like Eze a lot. I think he's a very good young player, has a lot of promise, and may prove to be an excellent Premier League player. I'm not as sold on him as I was, say, with James Maddison or with Jared Bowen. I'm not as convinced that he'll be really good in the Premier League. He may well be. So I like him as a player. Not convinced on him yet. I'll wait and see how he does next season for Palace. So that's just him as a player. But I don't care that he went to Palace on that level. Okay, so he wasn't like, you remember how I was waxing lyrical about Maddison when he was at Norwich before Leicester snapped him up, and the way I was about Jared Bowen when he was at Hull. When the rumour link came in that there was a bid from Palace in January for Bowen, I was all over Twitter. I even tweeted David Gold directly, which I never do. And I was like, fucking get on this now. Yeah, I was like, fucking get on this now. Do not let Jared Bowen sign for fucking Palace. And thankfully, we came in and hijacked it and sold him. So I'm not in that space when it comes to Eze, like I was with Maddison and Bowen. But he may prove to be as good. We'll see. So that's number one. We don't really need him, frankly. We don't need a player particularly in that position. I mean, we've seen, even from the pre-season friendlies, we need defenders, and we need them badly. And we need quality defenders. We need to spend a little money there. So I don't care if we don't sign a single first-team player further up the pitch. I really don't. I think our midfield would be okay. I think we've got a relatively strong midfield. Up front, okay, we maybe get another backup striker if Moyes feels he needs one. Fine, buy someone who can sit on the bench and probably get 100 minutes all season. Fine, whatever.
Rieti.
But what we need, yeah, we had one, but never mind. But it's at the back where we need something. So I don't care that he went to Palace, to be completely honest. But this is where I think you're absolutely correct. Here's the thing, though, right? The flip side of that coin. If, and this is an if, because I don't know, if Eze was one of Moyes' top targets, and he said to the board, I really want to get in Eze, I really see him as our number 10 in behind the striker, who can really do a huge job for us there. If that's the case, the onus was on the board to back the manager. He's not asking for much. This isn't huge money. I'm
No.
sure the deal. I don't know the structure of this deal for the Palace
Yeah,
and
I don't know the figures.
but I will bet you they have paid up front no more than 14 million, something like that, and the rest of it will be paid off later on. There may be some incentive stuff in there and stuff, and it will rise maybe to 20 million or so over time. Now, in the modern game, even given the whole COVID stuff, this is not big money for a Premier League team. It just isn't. And the fact that we were unable to go and get that player for the manager, if he was a top target for Mera, is just symptomatic of how badly this club is run and the dire financial situation that we're in.
Yeah.
So I suspect Moyes did really fancy Eze and did really want him, but the board just basically told him, look, we could go get Eze, but that would be it. I mean, we can push the boat out, challenge Palace for his signature. Maybe we can do what we did with Bowen, steal him from under Palace's nose.
Yeah.
But we probably won't be able to get any other players for you and strengthen at the back. And Moyes probably just had to say, okay, fuck it, look, just forget Eze.
Yeah.
I need backs more. So he probably just threw his hat at the Eze thing and said, look, I'm just not going to be able to get him because the money isn't there and I need defenders more. And I suspect that that's the situation Moyes is in. Whatever money he does have or whatever money he can raise from sales, he figures, look, I'm just going to have to spend it on defenders because that's where I need it the most. And as much as I like Eze, as much as I want him, if I can't sign him because then I've got no money to invest where I really, really need it.
Yeah.
And it's a disgrace. It is a disgrace.
According to the transfer market, the fee agreed upon to send him to Crystal Palace is in the region of $19.5 million US. So I don't know exactly.
16 million pounds, 16 million pounds. Say 15 or so. Let's say it's around 15, and then the rest will be add-ons. That's not big money.
Yeah. A good question here. To sign Arsenal defender Rob Holding on loan next week. I don't know him. I really don't, so I can't answer that. Do you know anything?
Yeah, I know Rob Holding. Very decent centre back. Looks quite promising. As a loan deal, yeah, it would be a good deal. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't be worried one way or the other, frankly. Look, Holding isn't someone who's going to come in and displace either Ogbonna or Diop. So he would be basically on loan on the bench. He would probably take up Balbuena's place on the bench. Wouldn't do a huge amount for us, to be honest. But if they were to get him in, I suspect Newcastle will probably play him. He'll start him up there. Put him he may play against us, Holding basically on the opening day. So he'll probably play alongside Lascelles. So yeah, fine. I'd be perfectly happy with the signing, but I mean, it's not like anyone would be jumping up and down.
Yeah. So then let me ask you, as we're coming so much to the close of the show, we haven't done any business as of right now with buying or loaning rather. Obviously, we've sold for pennies, but that's another story. Right now, obviously, left back's needed, center back is needed, or at least coverage. Who, if you're in that room right now, given our circumstances right now, who are you looking to sign?
My absolute priority is a left back. Absolute priority. Now, look, I haven't gone scouting left backs, over the last few months or anything. I don't have like a list of left backs that I really rate. But obviously, I do like Rico Henry at Brentford a lot. So I wouldn't mind pushing the boat out a little bit to get Rico Henry in. I think that would be a really good signing. Jamal Lewis, obviously, I'm a big fan of at Norwich. He would command a large enough fee as well. I don't know what Norwich's thinking is there. Norwich are in a nice position financially. They're actually a very well run club financially. Norwich literally do not have to sell a single player. They really don't. So they're under no pressure. So I suspect ourselves or anybody else going in for Jamal Lewis would be immediately put off by the price tag. And actually, as far as I'm aware, Liverpool were really high on him and wanted him as backup for Robertson, and were completely put off by the fee. So, so I don't know what Norwich are asking, but I'd imagine it's quite hefty, and I don't think we'd be able to afford it. But Rico Henry would be more doable, I think, and he looks a really, really good left back. That's the priority. Centre back, I'm not as worried, to be completely honest. I tweeted the other day, actually, Chris, if we were to say go out and get Rico Henry, and the club said, look, that's the only signing we're going to make that will actually like start on day one and will be a first team player, I'm fine. I'm good with that, because I will be perfectly happy to go forward with Ben Johnson at right back. I think he's much better than Fredericks. I really do. I think he's a lot better than Fredericks. Certainly defensively, he's miles better than Fredericks. He has some work to do going forward, but so what? He's a teenager. He'll get there. He'll keep improving. But defensively, he's very strong. So I would have no problem with Johnson starting at right back with Fredericks as the backup. I'd have no problem, bring in Rico Henry. He starts, Crespo as the backup. Absolutely no problem with that. Centre back wise, we've got some kids there that look bloody good as well. If you look at the pre-season games there, we've got some talent there. No, I'm not. I know, obviously, we know by now, Moyes is not a fan of Balbuena, and he clearly wants to have somebody else sit on the bench instead of Balbuena. So if we were to bring in a different backup centre back, fine, no problem. But I don't think we need much in the first team. We need to pad the squad a little bit, fine, whatever. But I like giving youngsters a chance.
Yeah.
I like to see them get a chance. So get Rico Henry in as a new left back. That solves a massive issue. Start Ben Johnson on the right, very good defensively. Immediately, I think that shores us up massively down each flank defensively. I think we're much more solid defensively down both flanks, and that was our big problem last season. We were getting destroyed down the flanks, game after game. If we could solve that in one fell swoop, just by getting Rico Henry in and starting Ben Johnson, I've done that a few times, because obviously Glenn Johnson came through the academy as well and was a brilliant right back. But yeah, if we had those two starting at fullback with Ogbonna and Diop in the centre, immediately defensively we're much better.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. For me, left back is the only position that I'm really looking at this summer. The rest of the team doesn't strike me as needing too much to it. I mean, I am worried, though, if we don't sign left back, because that's going to be where every attack comes from. If we were to sign a left back, though, and Cresswell would obviously be the first choice backup, so to speak. What happened? What do we do with Masuaku then? Do we sell him, or do we try and move him into a backup to the left wing?
It depends who goes. If we sell him, fine. Yeah. We're not in a position to sell him at the moment. Unless he's planning on using Ben Johnson on the bench so that he can come on either side, which he can do, but that's not ideal, because what if you end up with an injury both sides? You've got no one to do the left back then, if Glenn Johnson's already covering right back and you're in a jam, right? So again, I don't know exactly what the financial situation is. I expect there's something in the kitty. It's not zero. There's something there. I don't know how much that is. If it's a question of if we can sell Masuaku for 5-6 million, whatever, then we have enough to go for our left back. Fine, no problem. But can you sell him? Is the question. Can you find someone to actually buy Masuaku? So all of this is predicated on a lot of things that we don't really know about. I mean, look, bids aren't exactly flying in, are they? We've got a number of players that I'm sure David Moyes would like to get rid of. There are no bids coming. Window's been open for a while now. There are no bids coming in for anybody.
Did you see the latest rumor, though, with regards to all the left back, that Bournemouth are actually interested in Cresswell for $6 million?
Bollocks. Don't believe it for a second. A championship team like Bournemouth looking to someone who's past 30 and spend $6 million on him. No, I wouldn't. I think that would be just from a Bournemouth perspective, that would just be dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. That's.
I don't know. X said that they have interest, but so far nothing. So
they might have interest at a couple of million. Maybe if they like him for some reason. I don't even know who the manager is down there now, but they might say, we'll give you $2 million for Cresswell, but that's it. And what good is that to us?
Oh, very little. I mean, it takes away, like, if we aren't able to get in a left back this transfer window, then we're screwed. But
well, we might, because that might be the situation, because clearly right now we do not have the money to buy whatever left back it is that Moyes wants to get. And if we can't sell anybody, we're never going to have the money.
Yeah.
So we might be looking at Cresswell on the 3rd of September, 3 o'clock at home to Newcastle. It might be Cresswell will be left back still.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Bournemouth won Cresswell, but West Ham won $6 million. Okay.
No chance in hell.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense. No way Bournemouth want him at $6 million.
Yeah. I knew that there was some sort of link. I knew that I must have misread that, but yeah. Forever Blowing Bubbles, though, I won't be able to go back because it's too high up in the chat. Asked earlier, and it's seeming very possible at this point, at this stage in the game. If we were not able to sign anyone this window, where do you think we finish?
If we don't sign anyone, we have another bottom half finish for sure. It's 100%. Even with a couple of signings, we might still be bottom half. But without any signings, I mean, the flanks are still going to be a massive issue. Now, I don't know right now if Moyes considers Fredericks or Johnson his first choice left back. I don't know. I don't know if he considers Johnson to be. Now, Johnson played today, but on the right, so it doesn't seem like he sees Johnson as a replacement for Cresswell on the left. So, does he see Johnson as the first choice right back? If he does, that helps a bit. But that left side is just going to cause us untold misery all season. It just is, and we're still going to be vulnerable on the flanks. So I would think without fullbacks, if we're talking Fredericks and Cresswell, it's rinse and repeat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking over our shoulder. Listen, especially because you look at that fixture list. Okay, we're at home to Newcastle, which is a winnable game. Doesn't mean we're going to win it. That's a game. Look, it's a game we could lose. We could get done there, fucking 1-0. 2-1. We could lose that game. But even if that game goes well and we win it, the next 6 are a nightmare. So after 7 games, we could already be behind the ball, right? We could be in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
Potentially even rock bottom, potentially, after 7 games. And now we're already behind the ball. We're obviously conceding goals. Still very weak down the flanks. And that will be our season. Our season will be don't get relegated if we don't deal with the fullback positions.
See, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I'm usually kind of more of an optimistic person. My kind of prediction depends on if we get one left back in. If we are not to get anybody in, I think we finish 14th at worst. I think if we get a left back in, just a decent left back even, 10 to 13 is the worst we'll do. I think the primary thing that killed us last year, not just was it the whole Roberto saga, I think the pressure killed us. Everyone was talking, oh, could West Ham break in top 6? Could they do it? Blah, blah, blah. Our squad isn't different than when they were talking that way. And we've added Jared Bowen and Souček. We have the quality. So I think it's all a matter of if we show up. I think it's very possible, even if we don't sign someone, we could have a realistically good season. It'll be tough to shore up on the left, but that'd be the only area. If we sign a left back, bring in a left back, I'm actually fairly optimistic about this season. I really am. Because right now, all the pressure's off of us. We're expected to be a mid-table team, if not bottom half, and we just don't have to worry about it. And if we start excelling, then everyone's like, wait, what are they? How have they done this? We can sneak up on so many people. And I think that's kind of where we're at a position of strength now.
Yeah, well, look, the squad I'll agree with you as regards the squad. The squad is pretty good. So, yeah, of course, it's possible we could have a bit of a better season than we expected, finish 14th, whoopee-doo. That's still only 4 places above the drop, by the way. And 14th could be 4 points above the relegation zone. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's still flirting all season with Christ, And like I say, after 10 games, it is entirely possible, even possibly likely, that we'll be in the relegation zone. So after 10 games, let's say we're in the relegation zone, we're already way behind the ball. The pressure is on. Now we have a period of games where the schedule isn't nearly as tough. And all of a sudden, our 11th game or whatever it is, or 10th game is, must win. Must win game. Already, we're in fucking November, and now we're talking about must win games because we're fucking bottom of the table and the pressure's on already. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know how players will react to that. And frankly, look, if we play next season with the same backline, we're going to have the same problems defensively. And we are going to cede far more goals than we would like to. And that's going to be a problem. Listen, there's a reason, Chris, why we dropped 24 points from winning positions last season. And that was by far the most in the Premier League. We have a problem going forward. We can score goals, but we just can't stop conceding them. Every time we take a lead, we go 1-0 up, you still don't think great position to be in, because you're going to concede goals, and you still might draw or lose the game, even with fucking 10 minutes to go. I think we conceded an awful lot of goals in the final 15 minutes of games as well. So, we've got to strengthen the back line. I worry if we don't, Chris. I really do.
No, and I agree. But I think the first thing you're going to see is I don't think Fredericks is going to be a starter. I think it's going to be Johnson. So, that is an improvement right away. I'm hoping that we have consistent Ogbonna and Diop. in which Diop can gain confidence again and hit his stride that he did the first season, and Ogbonna can play up to what he was playing last year. If we do that, even with a left back who might be susceptible, I think that it is manageable. I don't like it, but we're going to end up coming from a position of, all right, we kind of have to forget about how many goals we score or goals we concede. We just have to keep pushing it down. I think that could be realistic. I think that is doable, but it's not preferable, so to speak. And then
it's just the problem. It's just the problem, Chris, is that when Cresswell's getting attacked, and he will be attacked a lot, as soon as he's out of position and an opponent is in behind, now all of a sudden Ogbonna's having to come over, try and plug that gap and deal with that player. And now our defence is being completely pulled apart. And it happened time and again last season. And we can't let it happen next season again. We just can't. Look, opponents are not stupid. Opponents are not stupid. They see this. And there's another thing, actually, which I really noticed and bothered me last season. This is clearly, excuse me, this is clearly something that's tactical that Moyes is getting them to do, and watch out for it in the Newcastle game. When our opponents have the ball and are pressed up on us and we're kind of defending deep, both of our fullbacks tuck right in. So we're effectively working with 4 centre backs, is what it looks like, right? There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all right there together, 4 of them. And then last season, Fornells and Bowen were being asked to drop in and to ask and to operate as fullbacks in those situations. And it caused us all kinds of problems because neither Fornells nor Bowen are fucking fullbacks. And they can't play that position. They're not defensively strong enough or wily enough or experienced enough to be able to do it. And the amount of space our opponents got down those channels was criminal. And it led to a lot of goals. So I really worry that we're going to see that again next season. I don't know if Moyes picked up on it, that, okay, this is just giving way too much space on those flanks in the final third to opponents. The amount of crosses that they got in, opponents, all pretty much unchallenged from that inside left and right channel, was just scary to me. So I hope David Moyes stops with that fucking stupid tactic of tucking those fullbacks in. It's a disaster, and we're going to concede lots of goals because of that too.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, as always, I appreciate you hopping on with me. Thank you to everyone in the chat. It's actually been one of my favorite streams with regards to Trading Irons. Just so much. It's hard to stretch what little news there is into a whole show. Like I've said it before, that when we kind of crafted the idea of this show, we thought, oh, there's going to be more activity than this, or like there's going to be some activity, but there's been absolutely zero. So as always, I hope that for our next show, there's going to be more information coming out with regards to potential transfers, whether it be in or out. But as this keeps drawing on, it seems less and less likely. Before we go, mate, you have anything else to say?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. Next week, obviously, look, we'll do another show and just cross everything that we've somehow managed to sign a left back.
I at least show some promise, or show some hope for it.
Show some intent. Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, our show next week should be on Friday. I don't think I'll have assignments that I have to worry about, and if I do, I'm going to make sure that it's not as burdensome as this week's been. So until then, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.